Jeff.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good
Hi,
to see
Rabbi.
everyone. Hi.
Hi.
So I'd like to welcome everyone and welcome everyone to the 4 o'clock Zoom with the Rabbi. On Fridays, it's 4 o'clock. And during the week, of course, the rest of the week, from Sunday through Thursday, it's 7 o'clock. So being that it's already 4 o'clock exactly, we'll start our Zoom. People, when you prepare for Shabbos, you need extra time. A lot of work to do in getting ready for Shabbos, and the cooking and the baking and everything else, and getting the house all cleaned up. And that's how we honor the Shabbos. One of the ways of honoring the Shabbos is through eating delicious food and putting on our best, nicest clothes and having the house look clean and tidy, as they say in England. That in Manhattan, in New York, Highlander, the garbage cans all say, "Keep New York clean." That's what it says in New York, and all the garbage cans that are out on the street so people can throw their rubbish and litter there. In England, the garbage cans say, "Keep Britain tidy." So it's like a little so English, tidy. Okay, we're going to start. We're doing a mitzvah. We're going to bring forth the tzedakah box. We put in the coin. We just gave tzedakah. We start with a mitzvah, and that connects us with a stronger bond with the Almighty. The power of a mitzvah is just amazing and unbelievable. And today we're going to discuss, as we said last time on Friday, every Friday I'm going to try and bring out a point of something in the portion that relates to Mashiach. And we started this years ago when during the Kiddush on Shabbos, when we had the Kiddush in the shul. I would say that this little talk about finding something to do with Mashiach and the Parsha was all in memory of the Rebbe's emissaries, the Shluchim in Mumbai, India, that were unfortunately murdered by a terrorist and Arab terrorists. And in their memory, they were very wonderful, wonderful people, and they ran an extremely busy and successful Chabad house. So it's in their memory that we're talking about where we find the concept of Mashiach in the portion. And the Rebbe brings out that we find it in the following way. One of the things it says in the portion is that Moses is complaining to the Almighty that he can't handle the job as leader of the Jewish people on his own, because the people, one of the things about the Jewish people, at least in those days, I don't know if maybe today as well, that there was so many people complaining about different things. They complain about the bun, they complain about they should have never left Egypt, they complain about the food that they had in Egypt, they complain about the walking in the desert, they complained about a lot of things. And said, look, God, the Jewish people, they number 600,000, and that's just the men over 20. So when you include the women and the children, you're talking about probably 3 million people. Now I don't know if the children complain, but the adults, a lot of the adults, especially the men, I think more than the women, are constantly complaining about things. And Moses said, "Look, I can't deal with it. I can't take it." So God said to him that you should gather together 70 elders, and I will, they will be your assistants, and I will grant them special powers that will be drawn from you onto them, and so on. But one of the sentences that Moses said to God was what he said about the 600,000 Jews, of which I am in their midst. Now, we know they're all together. What does Moses mean that I'm in their midst? So the Rebbe explains that sentence is telling us that there's a spark of Moses in every single Jew. So when Moses was leading the Jewish people, hi Jamie, when he was leading the Jewish people, he was letting the people know that there's a spark of Moses inside every single Jew. That's typical of the leaders of the Jewish people. A true leader is one that his soul represents all the Jewish people and everything of his generation, and every Jewish person has a spark of his soul. And the same, the Rebbe says, is true with the concept of Mashiach, that within every single Jew today and in every generation is a spark of Mashiach. Now, what does that mean, is a spark of Mashiach? What exactly does that mean? What does it translate into? And what it means basically is that Mashiach represents redemption. Mashiach represents getting rid of everything negative. Mashiach represents being totally immersed in godliness and being totally connected with God. That's going to happen when Mashiach comes. But that potential we have inside us, inside every single Jew. There is a potential of rising above all limitation, all confinements, all difficulties, all things negative. We have that potential to rise above it, but it's very hard to do that. Only very righteous people, known as tzaddikim, they have done that. But for us, for the regular Tom, Dick, and Harry, we have to wait for Mashiach to come. But at least we can begin doing that. We can start doing that, knowing that there's a spark of Mashiach within us, and it'll be completed when Mashiach comes. So to better understand what exactly does this mean, that the spark of Mashiach within us that represents rising above all limitation and confinement, I want to share with you a story that once happened with the Baal Shem Tov. It's one of my favorite stories, by the way. There was a man who very much wanted to be able to meet Elijah the prophet. Now you have to understand that Elijah the prophet, he was a prophet who lived many, many years ago in biblical times. And Elijah the prophet was a very, very holy person. Excuse me. He was a very holy person. As a matter of fact, Elijah never died. There is no burial place, there is no grave anywhere in the world that says, here lies Elijah the prophet, because he ascended to heaven alive. How do you ascend to heaven alive? How does a physical body go to a spiritual? His body became angelic. His body turned into that of an angel, a spiritual angel. And Elijah comes down back to the world very often, but he comes down in the form of anything he wants to. He can come down in the form of a man, of a woman, a Jewish person, a non-Jewish person. And usually he comes down for a reason, like someone's in trouble. So he comes to help somebody, and you don't realize that this person, you say, oh, what a coincidence. I had this problem, I was stuck and I was in danger, and suddenly some guy, just came and helped me out and then saved me. You never know, it could be Elijah. So only very great people, only very great tzaddikim, very righteous people have the merit to see Elijah. So this man, who was a follower of the Baal Shem Tov, he studied extra hours each day, and he fasted and prayed, and he tried to be as holy as he could. And yet Elijah never appeared to him. So he went to the Baal Shem Tov and he said, please, I so much want to be able to see Elijah. What can I do? So the Baal Shem Tov said, I'll tell you what you should do. He said, there's a family in the next town. They live on the outskirts of the town. As a matter of fact, their house is like almost the beginning of a little forest, and they're very, very poor. So what you should do is, since the holiday of Passover is coming, fill your wagon with a lot of food, not just wine and matzah, but fish and meat and everything, vegetables, fruit, and then take your wagon, go down and pretend that your wagon sort of broke down or something, and try to get and have it, come there right before the Passover Seder starts, and ask if you can be invited into their home, and bring in your food, because I don't even know if they have any food. And if you spend the first 2 days with them, you will see Elijah the prophet. He was so excited. He told his wife that he's going to go away for this 2 Seders, for the 2 days of Passover, and she didn't mind. She had her parents living across the street, so she went with her children across the street to her parents for Passover, and he loads up his wagon with every kind of food you can imagine, And he goes down, travels to the next town, and sees the house, the little house in the forest. And he pulls up right in front. He knocks on the door, and he says, yes, can we help you? He says, well, I'm traveling, and it's getting close to the holiday, and something's wrong with my wagon. And would it be possible for me to stay with you for the 2 days of Passover and the two Seders? And they say, we'd love to have you stay here. There's only one problem. We don't have hardly any food. We barely have enough matzah and wine for family. He says, oh, that's not a problem. That's a problem. You have any children? She says, yes, we have a lot of children. And they call the children and they start unloading the wagon. And he carry in boxes and bags and all kinds of stuff into the house. And they've never seen so much food. They had a wonderful, amazing Seder. They had such a wonderful time. They sang the songs from the Haggadah, and they ate all the special food, and they told stories, and they had a wonderful, wonderful time. And the second Seder was just as wonderful and just as beautiful. What an amazing, amazing Seder they had. And the man felt so good that he brought such joy to the people. He just felt very good inside. Well, when the second day was over, the next morning, he said to them, well, I'm going to go out. I think I can fix the wagon. And I want to thank you very much. And he left. He went back home. He comes home. He didn't see Elijah the prophet. So he doesn't know what to do. So he goes back to the Baal Shem Tov. And he asks the Baal Shem Tov, he tells him, he says, look, I did what you recommended. And it was beautiful. It was wonderful. We had an amazingly wonderful time. And I was so happy the family had very good food to eat and everything else. But I didn't see Elijah the prophet. So he said to him, go back to that house, but don't go inside. See, there may be like an open window. Just stand outside and listen to what the people are saying in the house. So he goes back and he walks around. He sees an open window. He stands next to the window and he hears how the husband says to the wife, boy, that was such an amazing Passover we had the first 2 days. It was our luck. It was just our luck that a man that had a whole bunch of food in his wagon happened to break down right in front of our house. So we had all that delicious food. So his wife says, that wasn't just a person breaking down in front of our house like a stroke of luck. Don't you realize that was Elijah in the disguise of just a plain man? It was Elijah the prophet. And he came to help us out, that we should have a beautiful Seder. So he got into his wagon. He went back and he understood that if you want to see Elijah the prophet, what you have to do is feed a poor, large family and then look in the mirror and you'll see Elijah the prophet. In other words, Elijah the prophet is a spirit that can be within each person. Each one of us can experience the concept of Elijah the prophet by going out of our way and doing something really amazing for a poor family or another special type of act of charity and act of kindness. And that's how we could see Elijah the prophet. And that will help us understand what it means that we all have a spark of Mashiach within us. We just have to be able to work hard enough to reveal that spark and see, and we might even amaze ourselves of what high level and what very lofty level where each and every one of us is able to reach. Have a wonderful Shabbos. May the Almighty bless you all. Thank you for zooming in. See you Sunday evening at 7 o'clock Zoom with the Rabbi. Have a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.